nationally. This program's recruited nationally, but what's the key, Junior, to getting those guys who are from the Midwest or from the Southeast, and it's just a little bit of a longer trip, but getting them to jump aboard where you have the results now from Troy last year and Tez last year to go on and to say, this is the vision, this is exactly what we do.
Well, I think everything starts with Dan Lanning, right? Dan Lanning is probably shouldn't say probably, but he's the best I've been around when it comes to that. And I think what we put on film the last 2 years, it's attractive. And at the end of the day, this is University of Oregon, right? And this is the place to be.
Do you have a target number in mind going forward in terms of when in a 105 scholarship world, what you want? If the room is a little lean in number for the last couple of years, do you want 12? Do you want 15? What that looks like? Do you have a plan for it?
No, we haven't discussed that yet. Obviously, we're worried about the now and where we're at, and we haven't discussed numbers yet.
Let's talk about the now then. What impresses you about this group, obviously, early on in fall? What stands out?
The biggest thing to me that stands out is how connected we are. The room is super talented, and everybody's about the people in that room. We talk about we over me. Each of those guys, they learn from each other. They hold each other accountable, and it's really cool to be a part of.
The name that we keep hearing pop up is Justice Lowe. I mean, he obviously dealt with some injuries last year, but, players are talking about him more this spring at media day. What have you seen from him over this last offseason?
Justice Lowe is a good example of the process is working. He's getting better every day. He's working at it. Most importantly, he's confident. He's gotten a lot better in his fundamentals and his technique. He's working on his craft, after hours, not only when we're supposed to be in the building, and he's playing with a smile on his face.
Tran talked about meeting his goals for whether it be the jersey number or just general improvement. What are your goals for him, though?
My goals for Jurion is just the day-to-day. One, he did get his jersey number changed, thank goodness. And two, it's just the day-to-day. Like, what does every day look like? Can he be consistent? We talk about being a pro. And he's making a lot of strides and he's making a lot of progress. I'm pretty pleased on where he's headed.
What was your reaction like when you found out he's changed his jersey number? Because you had a funny reaction when you found out 99 last year.
I was just happy for him, man. It's good to see him back. I mean, we used to give him so much crap in that room for wearing 99. So his, as they say, his drip is getting better.
Ted said at media day that all the wide receivers don't see themselves as number one or number two. They all see themselves as number one, and what they bring to the table is all a little bit different. How is that healthy mindset in camp when they are competing for a spot?
Yeah, they're all competing, and it's healthy competition, right? We all make each other better. Iron sharpens iron. And I think, when you look at the DBs we have, too, on the other side of the field, those guys are getting us better. Our DB room is really good, and those guys look forward to that competition every day.
Will talked about Dylan kind of starting to master this offense. How much does that help the offense as a whole, but also your guys when the quarterback's kind of getting advanced and getting comfortable with everything?
That's what the offseason's about, right? Those guys spent a lot of time together, and Dylan does a really good job of getting the guys together, doing certain trips, and just doing things to where they can connect, right? And the continuity's at a good spot right now.
How often does Evan Stewart do something in practice that kind of makes you say, wow?
He's super talented. We had 4 practices, and I would say he's made a play in each practice. So, but all those guys are making plays. I know we're sitting here talking a lot about the older guys, but I mean even the younger guys. You got Dylan Gresham, you got Jack Ressler, you got Pelham, you got Bidwell, you got Jalen. All those guys have made plays, and that's the really cool thing about it. So it's not just the older guys or the guys at the top, as some may say, but those younger guys are making plays. Kyler Casper had a really good day yesterday. So it's really cool to see.
Building off of that, just how important it is now that you could be playing a 16, 17 game season to be able to know that some of those young guys can step in and maybe some games you're ahead in the preseason, get some extra reps to give some of those older guys that are going to be taking a lot of snaps some time away.
Well, it's pretty cool to build depth, right? And those younger guys are pushing the older guys too. Those guys are making them better. But for the most part, we're going to be worried about today. And, when the season comes, it's going to be one game at a time.
Like a cap on how many players is too many to incorporate into a rotation? Or what's your kind of process entering a camp like this when you do have a ton of talented players?
When you do have a ton of talented players, it's we tell them make it hard on us, right? Make it hard on us, and they understand the deal too, right? It's not just you're going to play wide receiver; you got to play special teams too. Special teams is a big thing here, and it's what we want, and it's what they're going to do. That's their gift to the team, and then they bought into that.
What does Treshawn have to do to maximize and reach that potential in this final year for him?
Details. I mean, he's gotten a lot better at them, just getting the details as far as alignment, assignment, and just being consistent with it. Trayshawn's our muscle in that room, and we lean on him for some things.
Have you seen Tez add anything to his game this year that he didn't have last year necessarily?
Tez has done a good job. Tez is the guy this summer, in this offseason, where I would get random texts at 7 o'clock in the morning or at night, but just clips of him in the mall one time doing a route break drill or doing releases. So he's doing a really good job of mastering, trying to really work on his release game and his route package. He does a good job. Now he comes to the building early and he's studying film, getting his eyes right as far as coverage recognition. And Dan Lanning has been a really big help for those guys too. Being a defensive-minded head coach and being a defensive coordinator in his career, he comes and sits in the wide receiver meetings, and you'll see the guys go sit next to him at times and ask him a question, which I think is really good. Or he'll take over the floor and then start coaching up the defense with what we're seeing, and it's been really helpful for us.
What is that next phase for Gary? Particularly, I know he ended the season last year, the last couple of games with an injury, but what's that next thing for him at this point? Gary's made some strides, obviously, with his fundamentals as far as the release package. He's playing inside, he plays outside. Gary has a high football IQ, and Gary's the glue to that room. There's a lot of guys in there that lean on Gary, and Gary's a vet. I'm pretty excited. He's made plays at all three positions for us this camp so far, and I'm excited to see what he's going to do. In the outside world, Junior sees this room and is talking about, obviously, the top-end speed, no doubt, and the potential for it to be an elite group nationally. All right, that's the outside. When you see this room, the way it's come together, what do you see? What is the first characteristics that you see about it that make it distinct, make it unique?
Connected. We just want to be the best. We just want to be the best wide receiver group in the country that's connected. That's all that matters to us. And if we're connected, we'll be able to do some special things.
How's Coach Sample integrated himself into this coaching staff, and maybe some funny stories from your experience working with him?
I mean, I can't tell you the stories. That's right. We got to keep that behind closed doors. But nah, Samp's my guy. I've known Samp for years. He's done a heck of a job coming in here, bringing some good energy. He's positive. He's connected with the running backs, and he's a hell of a coach. He's a really good football coach.